Larry, why do smart people stay stuck?
For a variety of reasons. There are some common ones. And I think it has to do with delusions about either delusions or missing awareness around how they make decisions, why they make those decisions, and what their decision-making process actually gets them.
So this is going to be an interesting 4-part series that we're going to run here. And we're going to spend the time on each one of these to make sure that we fully flesh it out.
Okay.
The first one is a time objection. So this will be I just don't know if now is the right time.
No, it's not the right time.
What we know what the what is, right? You've also called it temporal displacement. Why does this matter? Why are we having the conversation about this?
Well, how often have practitioners had people that came to them with an issue that they've been dealing with for some time? They want help with it. The issue is getting in the way of their lives. It's causing them to say no to things that they would like to say yes to because of fear, because of pain. I mean, think about, take Sarah, right? Sarah, after a rotator cuff surgery 3 years ago, had a successful surgery. She went to physical therapy. She had 12 weeks is what insurance gave her. And after insurance said, you're done, Sarah, who is a 46-year-old mother who had played sports growing up and still wanted to be active with her kids and on her own for her own fitness and as a role model, was sitting out of 95 to 98% of the things that she wanted to do because her shoulder after physical therapy, I mean, she could wipe her butt with a 2 out of 10 pain. That's it. That's fine. But that's not the shoulder that she wants for all the things she wants to do. Putting on a backpack. She was still thinking about how to put on a backpack. So when Sarah, 3 years after the fact, comes to a practitioner for help, and the practitioner goes through a process and a consultation, and they go through the position of, are you ready to get going on this? Sarah says, I don't know that now's the right time for this. And when you sit here and just listen to it like that, it's almost obvious that there's something silly about that, right? But I think that there's a reason that people typically tell practitioners, I don't know that now's the right time for this, assuming that they actually trust the practitioner and they tell themselves the story. They're feeding themselves and the practitioner's story that now's not the right time. I think that happens for a reason.
Yeah. Why does this happen then? I know we've got 3 principles around the kind of why this might come up for people.
Let's unpack them.
The first one is familiar discomfort over effort.
Yeah, well, as biological organisms, we are all wired for what's the least I can put into something and what's the most I can get out of it. And that happens consciously and unconsciously. And I think that oftentimes we are wired to seek and to preserve a familiar discomfort because you don't have to spend energy on it than spending the effort to change something, especially if you're uncertain about it.
Yeah, it's the familiar hell versus the heaven that's slightly uncertain.
That's right.
It's easier to stay here where I am right now because I know what this feels like. I know how I operate at this level.
Yeah. And to me, just like a basic understanding that that's a biological tendency that is causing us to do things. Like, this is how we kind of transcend our biology a little, right? Like, just to me, knowing that as an organism, I'll have a tendency to do that, it allows me to step back and say, like, all right, logically, what should I spend some energy on because I actually know it's going to get me something good.
Yeah, energy is a finite resource.
Right.
So sticking with the circumstances and variables that I understand, and they don't cause me additional effort, which could lead to the outcome.
Right.
But might not.
Right.
It's easier for me to maintain this new level of homeostasis than to push for something new.
That's very common. That's why that's a big part of the reason people stay stuck. It's a big part of the reason that people deal with circumstances that they complain about for decades.
Yeah. Well, there's a psychological component to this too, where we get so comfortable being where we're at, whether we like it or not, that we make the decision consciously and unconsciously to keep finding evidence for that thing, right? This is always going to be this way, or I don't know that I'm ever going to get out of this, sends us on the path of finding some information and evidence that story is true.
And I think the psychology and the biology of these things go together.
I agree with that. Anything else on the familiar discomfort over effort?
Nope.
Okay. The second principle that we have is chronic issues become harder to change as time passes.
As a practitioner, it's crucial that we can just recognize this for ourselves so we can actually understand the risk that clients are facing. Musculoskeletal problems aren't going to solve themselves. Problems aren't going to solve themselves. But I think that we actually subconsciously hope that they will. Mm-hmm. And we cross our fingers and just see how it goes. But how often does it happen that these things work themselves out? I mean, if you fall into the perfect right fitness routine that you needed to solve your thing, that's happening 1 out of 1,000 times maybe. But that's not happening for most people most of the time. To bet that the thing is just going to go away is a bad bet.
Yeah. I imagine there's some fear around that too. And even like situations from our past, right? I can think of when I was younger and playing sports, right? You'd get these bumps, you'd get these injuries, but generally they would resolve themselves.
Yeah. But the other thing is a small bump or a bruise, of course it's going to heal itself. But when we're thinking about, and this isn't a fear tactic, it's important that technicians understand this. It's just reality. When you have a severely compromised joint, a rotator cuff that was repaired and it's been rehabilitated to an elementary level, and a person is now using their shoulder 10 to 15% of the function that they want and that they need. You now have not only a shoulder joint that is going to be deteriorating in function, but what else cascades down the body and up the body that is going to change how the rest of the body functions? We know this. If you have a shoulder that doesn't do its job, you are going to have a neck and a torso, an elbow and a wrist and fingers that end up taking the brunt of what this is supposed to do. And you're going to see cascades of dysfunction. And then this is where you end up with people who say, I have a shoulder thing and an ankle thing that's never gone on anywhere. And you could have an ankle thing because you had a shoulder thing.
Yeah.
So the understanding that musculoskeletal problems are going to, at the very best, remain at the level of dysfunction that they're at over time, but likely get worse over time. It's an important piece of information to put in front of someone and have them really face.
Yeah, that was an important piece you put there, is about most likely they're going to get worse over time, because it's not just about that this change becomes harder to make. It's because one of the reasons it becomes harder to make is you're actually going to lose something in that the longer that you wait.
Correct.
The third principle, you're never more ready than you are in the moment when you seek help.
I don't know if that just makes sense to me or that makes sense to you too, but it seems obvious to me that if someone is in a position where they've had an issue for 3 years and they've arrived at a place where they say, I want to do something about this, and they stop the train of their normal daily life, of the familiar, and they probably have a conversation or two. Maybe if you're like me, you just call someone and buy something. You don't really talk about it too much. But let's say that normal folks, you have a conversation with someone about, I really want to do something about this. I really want to do something about this. I think I'm going to call this person. I think I'm going to call this person. A couple of weeks later, you call a person. Right? A lot of clients that I face, they've told me things like, yeah, Larry, I knew I should reach out to you. And then, I talked to my husband about it. I talked to my husband about it. And then eventually I just knew that I needed to reach out, and they did it. That's a lot of time and energy thinking about doing something and deciding that you wanted to. If you spent a day, a week, to me, that's good time thinking about something, right? Yeah. And then you get to the point that you call the person. There's a big emotional cost there. To call someone to do something about your problem, that's a big thing. And then you get on the phone and you schedule a conversation about it. Why would you be calling if you weren't ready to change your situation? You're as ready as you have been in the last 3 years. What is this decision now that, I actually think I'm going to be a little more ready in another 3 years or 3 months or 6 months from now? What's going to happen that you're going to say, I was wrong about how ready I was to get out of shoulder plane then. Now I'm really ready for it. What are we talking about here?
Right? Do you think that people need to get to that level where they feel like they've tried to solve the problem before they're actually ready?
It could be. But and the thing is, there's nothing disparaging here. I don't want you to misinterpret that in my tone, because if someone decides that they were ready to do something, and then the energy that they would have to put in to get the freedom, the result out, if the energy in feels like more to them than getting out of shoulder pain, then they shouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. That's okay. That's normal. That's math.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's a scale. It's heavier on this side than the other side. No problem. If you're evaluating that what you put in is not worth than what you're going to get out, then you shouldn't sign up. Mm-hmm. But if you're saying, I know it would be worth it if I did it, and I don't know that I'm ready yet, that's delusion. That's delusion. Yeah. That's a problem. That's a problem for you, and it's a problem for everyone around you.
Yeah. This makes me think about the importance of good processes as practitioners. This is a clear example to me of why a discovery call is so important. Because you're going to be able to ask all of the questions around it, whatever the thing is, whatever the goal is, the limitation, to be able to understand, is this person ready in this moment to do the work that they're going to need to work to get out of this thing? Or are they just kind of shopping around or trying to figure out what options are out there?
And remember the 3 reasons that we discussed that people don't do something. They're either not aware that something could be done to change a situation. They're incapable. They literally lack the skill to change their situation. Or they know that they could. They know it's possible, and they know that they can, and they decide not to anyway. Mm-hmm. That's not someone who, in my opinion, this is a strong word. This isn't someone who deserves the attention of trying to help them cross the river, because they're standing at the river saying, I know I can, and I want to, but I'm not gonna. Mm-hmm. All right, well, see ya. Like, let me know, or let anyone know if you ever want to cross the river, man. Like, you guys have to think about what the cost is for you to pay someone extra attention who doesn't want the help. Mm-hmm. What's the cost to you and the people who do want the help? Imagine a line of people waiting for help, and there's someone who's like, I want to get on this ride. I know that I'm capable of getting on this ride, and I think it would work. I just don't really know that I'm ready to get on the ride. And there are 10 people behind them that are like, yo, can you buy already so I can buy next? Mm-hmm. How long do you want to spend talking to that person before you get to the 9 people waiting behind them?
How long would you?
I'm not waiting long.
No.
I mean, if we get
I'm the same, by the way.
If we get to the point, I want to be clear. If we get to the point that we determine, okay, so you think this would work if you did it? Yes. Do you think it would be worth doing? Yes. Would you like to? I don't know that I'm ready yet. Great. What's going to change so that you're ready for it? What do you anticipate changing? What would indicate or what would create readiness for you? I don't know. I just feel like I would know when I get there. Got it. I've got nothing for you, because there's nothing we can talk about. You're not giving me anything that we can work through and logic through together. That's fear to me. And that's okay. If we get to the end of that, I might try bang on the door a couple times. But if we get to that and there's nothing to work with here, then I'm saying, look, I'm going to let you go on this. Call me back if you ever decide that you are ready to change this. Mm-hmm. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, that's a good example. So there's a skill component to this, and being able to help and identify, is this the person to help? How do we help them? Mm-hmm. Right? Reframe timing. Mm-hmm. I want to work through this as a practical example, as best we can. I'm going to be the client.
Okay.
And you're going to be the practitioner.
All right, let's see what we can do.
So we get to the end of our process. We've done all of the things that we need to do. It's now time to have the conversation about enrolling in the solution.
Okay.
Larry, I don't know if now's the right time.
Okay. What about now isn't the right time for you?
Well, it's the end of the summer, and kids just went back to school, and we're getting holidays are coming up. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's a lot going on right now.
Mm-hmm. So school, summer, we know that this process together, it's clear that it's going to probably take 9 months, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what that means is the beginning of summer is going to come around again while we're in this process. You see that?
Yeah. Yep.
If this process were working and things got busy again, by the way, is it reasonable to conclude that something's going to get busy again in the next 9 months?
Oh, yeah.
So things have gotten busy the last 9 months?
I mean, yeah, they were busy, and I can see this trend continuing.
If things get busy again and this is working, do you just quit the process that's working? I ask you that because if you tell me that you would quit if things got busy again and this was working really well for you, I would tell you not to start at all. Because I don't want to start if I already know that you would quit if things got busy.
I would have to really be working.
I'm not telling you to sign up for something that I don't think would really work. So what I want us to talk about is under the assumption this would work really well. If things get busy again, what do you do? Do we figure out how to make it continue working for you with the busy life, or do you stop the progress you're making?
I think we have to do the first one.
Okay. What's the difference between when you make it work then when things are busy and you making it work now when things are busy?
There's just so many things on the plate right now. I don't know if this is the right time.
If there were a way that it could work with all the things on your plate, without you feeling overwhelmed, like you actually being able to balance it, do you actually want to begin now if that could happen? Or is there another reason that you don't want to begin now?
The timing is the only thing. If all of the stars could align and this could work, I would want to start.
You would want to start now if the timing could work.
Yes.
Okay, I will pause this here. That's all I need to know that there's something here. Because now I literally just have to put someone's schedule on a whiteboard and figure it out. And then ask them, do you see the schedule working? If the answer is, I can't do that schedule, then all right, that's the best I could do.
So if I would have went the other way, would the conversation be over?
Yeah. That's it. So if I say, if the timing could work, because what you told me is, now's not the right time because I don't think I can fit this. If I ask you a hypothetical question of, if the timing could work, would you want to start getting this help? And you say, no, this isn't a timing problem.
It's something else.
It's something else.
That's valuable. Is there anything else in this example we need to work through? Feel complete?
No, not in this example. No, we're good.
Okay. So in that, you did a few things, right? You mentioned how acting now is important and it really matters. We didn't really get into this part about the pain doesn't wait. How would we thread that in? Is that even something that you would worry about threading in?
Threading in where?
In this conversation that we were having.
Like this little role play conversation?
Yeah.
No, it's not due yet. Because this isn't about this is going to get worse. This is about he's saying, in this case, you are strictly talking about your resistance about the time commitment. Let's just focus on what you're saying is the actual problem. If that problem could be solved for you and you still don't want to move forward, I could like take a quick audit. Is it because just double checking? Do you think it's because it wouldn't work? Do you think blah, blah, blah? But if all the things are saying, yes, I think this will work. Yes, I think it would be worth it. Even if you could make the time for it, I still didn't want to do it. Then you're not actually in the market.
Right.
You're window shopping, and that's okay. But I'm not looking to sell a window shopper.
Yeah, agreed. The last principle there, like waiting increases pressure. Unpack that just a little bit for me.
Yeah. So this idea that the more time, well, in Sarah's case, think about the 3 years it took her to call a practitioner. All right, and think about the energy of I'm getting myself to be ready to do this. Waiting is when someone bumps up against the wall of being able to start something and then they decide I'm not ready for it, they usually bounce really far away from the solution. And if ever, it's going to take them a really long time to get around to it. Because they end up reeling a little bit from the negative experience of bumping up against the thing they wanted and then not doing it. It doesn't feel good. It feels really bad for people, right? It's icky. There might be some shame, some guilt, some confusion, some frustration. And then they walk away from that and then end up suppressing a whole bunch of other stuff around that. But people get weird around that and they'll bounce far away from it. And I typically expect that you won't see that person again. I have seen one case in my practice where, 2 times in my practice where it had happened, where years later, someone contacted me and was like, okay, I'm really ready to do this now. And they were.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's 2 out of, I don't know, like 95, 120 clients, something like that.
Okay.
Right.
the last thing worth unpacking here is this logic around why you'll probably always wait.
Yeah, I think that this goes back to what we were talking about. So in the little role play that we just did right here, we were talking about the basis of your decision making. So if someone says that now's just not the right time, I feel like I need to wait for things to smooth out a little bit, right? So imagine some guy who's telling you something like, look, it's just getting crazy with work, with kids, with school, with this, with that. I really just feel like I need to wait for things to settle down a little bit. We can just take this honest audit again, wanting to wait for things to settle down before you can go through this process, right? All right, so we know that this is going to be at least 6 months, right? Yeah. So when we look back at the last year, let's be conservative. When we look back at the last year, was there a point that you've identified 6 months of absolutely predictable, smooth sailing? No. Okay. When you look forward at the next 12 months, do you anticipate that you'll be able to predict a crystal clear, clean, predictable, smooth 6 months when nothing will come up that you'll have to respond to? No, I guess that's silly to say, right? So the concern that I have is you decide to wait for a period where things feel easy. But if you wait for things to feel easy, historically we know they never will be for long enough that you're going to have your little mini 6 month criteria here, which logically means that you would then never start. That's my concern for you.
One of the things that I think you do exceptionally well in that example is you take them all the way to the end. Rather than just being like, okay, let's maybe, sure, whatever, like letting it live there, you take it all the way to its logical conclusion.
Well, I think that that's the skill that's important for you to help smart people get unstuck. Because when smart people are faced with rational decision-making process, they typically pick better when they see better. But people don't see it. It's not that they're dumb, it's that they don't see it.
Yeah. Well,
and it's also, it's also that most people do this either self-delusion or just most people are missing this because most people make decisions like this. And so no one around them is challenging their thinking in this way. But you have to remember that like a practitioner that wants to help like this, we're change experts. Like we're the best category of, a coach is the best category of profession in the world at helping people evaluate their A, how they got there, their B, and how to get there, and whether or not it's worth getting to. Like not everyone is designed to and equipped to do this. That's why it's our job.
That's helpful. Is there anything else around these timing objections that we should, this temporal displacement, that we should dive into today?
No, I think I think the only thing I would say is that all of us are going to be subject to these currents, these tendencies of deferring, of being lazy in some cases. All of us have these predispositions to some degree. And it's crucial that we can recognize it in ourselves and in others, because if we can help others, and we're never going to be able to help others beyond the ability that we're able to help ourselves. So if you can see how it happens for you, it's going to help you relate to people's positions better and help them move through it.
Yeah, you can start to pull some examples
Exactly.
that you can give to them in conversation.
Exactly.
Larry, this was helpful. Thank you.
Good.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Active Life podcast. If you did, please head to wherever you listen and leave us that 5-star rating. It really does go a long way. 5 stars goes a long way. Please leave them. If you're interested in working with us as a coach, remember, we help coaches from around the world build fulfilling careers, working with clients they're inspired to help so they never have to worry about being able to pay your bills again. No one's ever going to ask you if you are going to get a real job when you work with Active Life. All you have to do, head into the show notes, click the link that you find there, download our curriculum. That will give you a feel for what it is going to take for you to be successful. A team member of ours will reach out to you to find out if it's a fit for us to work together. Till the next show, turn pro.